I'm not sure what I'm looking for anymore. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. I just know that I'm harder to console. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers right here on the Vaughn channel. And today is my review of the long-awaited Spirits in the Forest movie. Spirits in the Forest was released on the 21st of November 2019, which was last week, and it was really marketed as a one-night cinema premiere. And it comes just shortly after I asked the question on my Facebook group to my subscribers and my group members. And I said, guys, are Depeche Mode going to release a live recording of this? Because every time Depeche Mode do a video, you know the Depeche Mode formula. They take 4 years off, they do promotion, they do an album, and they tour. Their tours are big. They don't do nostalgia. They always do, album tours. And that is where they've always remained consistent. So following the immense success of the stadium tour, which was Spirit, which started in 2016 and went on for, what was it, a year and a half, nearly 2 years, it did make me ask the question, where is the official DVD release? Because Depeche Mode always release a official DVD release. And it all went very quiet. So it was as a fan, it was nice to hear that they were going to release this in a slightly different format, but it was nice to hear that it was going ahead. So the idea to release it as a one-night cinema premiere for fans all over the world on the 21st of November, was a very good idea and a very good bit of marketing, because I think we all knew that, if we didn't see it on the 21st, it would become available, and I believe it will be available on Netflix now and all other streaming services. And I'm sure a lot of people saw it before it even premiered. It probably got leaked. A unfortunate side effect of the digital world we're living in at the moment. Had this happened in the 80s or the 90s, before the internet came in, there would be a lot more control as to just showing it in the cinemas. But anyway, the way they decided to market it as a cinema-only event was a nice bit of marketing. But along with that comes the hype and the expectation. Now, did this movie live up to that expectation and hype? And we're going to go into that. Now, before we delve into this movie review in detail, let's look at the origins of Anton Corbijn. Notice how I pronounce Anton Corbijn. He's Dutch, and I believe growing up in South Africa allows me to pronounce his name properly, as opposed to saying Anton Corbijn, Anton Corbijn. Anyway, there's some useless information for you there. But Anton Corbijn really was the missing ingredient that kind of gave Depeche Mode the sort of visual aesthetic. And if we look back at Depeche Mode videos, from the beginning, like Just Can't Get Enough and Everything Counts and, Blessed They Were, and need to remain on topic. So what I'm pointing out is that the music videos in the early days did not gel with the sound. They had this sound which was very groundbreaking and iconic, as I've gone through in all my album review series. The point is really, the sound was very sophisticated, but the videos kind of sucked. The image they had was good, but, round about sort of, I would say from Some Great Reward time, they really sort of got their image to kind of fit with their sound. But it was really when Anton Corbijn came along in 1986 and he did the first music video for them, which I believe was It's Just a Question of Time, that black and white sort of epic filmic looking video. And Anton did go on to say that in an interview, he said that their music's very filmic, and he deals He doesn't listen to the lyrics really, he goes more with the feel. And this is where I think it was genius. Now, if you've been watching my album review series at the moment, you will know that we're halfway through the Black Celebration series. And in that, I've been interviewing the legendary photographer Brian Griffin. Now, if you're new to the channel, please, I will leave links in the description below, and you can watch all that. There's a lot of information covered in more detail than any YouTuber ever has, as far as I'm aware. But not meaning to be biased, I do personally feel, and a lot of you feel as well, that Brian Griffin's artwork, so far as the album covers are concerned, were the best. He won awards for the A Broken Frame album cover. So Brian Griffin, as far as album covers are concerned, were the best. But I think the decision to move on to Anton, and as I said in the interview with Brian around about the Black Celebration period, remember the Black Celebration period was the period where things got really serious. The band were getting really big and really successful. The stakes were higher. There was a lot of problems surrounding the making of the Black Celebration album sleeve. But it was from this point, for whatever reasons, which we discussed in the video with Brian Griffin, where Brian Griffin was kind of, I wouldn't say moved away from the project, but I think the band just felt that they wanted a fresh new approach. As they do with new albums, they move on to new producers, for better or for worse. So they moved on to Anton. Now, Anton Corbijn was a perfect choice because I believe he came around at just the right time. And as I say, Anton gave Depeche Mode the sort of visual aesthetic they needed. Anton was brilliant at marrying the sound with the visual aspect. That is highlighted in the sort of the devotional period. Now, the first music video, A Question of Time, was literally just Anton and an assistant. It was low budget, but very effective. But then from then onwards, he started doing more than just, photography and videos. He started doing album sleeves. He also started doing, he almost became like a visual director for the band. And that is kind of highlighted, to me, the peak of everything Depeche Mode is sort of devotional. That to me is where it's like the bar has been raised so high. We can't go any higher. We can only go down from there. Because, that was like the ceiling of the pinnacle of their creativity. And I always think that devotional was kind of like a double-edged sword for Depeche Mode and Anton, in the sense that it was not only their opus magnum, but it was also their, I believe, in my opinion, remains their nemesis, because that was the point where the bar was raised so high. And in my opinion, it's been impossible to reach those heights ever since. And that is illustrated in this movie. Anton Corbijn was incredible at, as I say, marrying the visual aspects of their music video to the sound. So Depeche Mode finally got to a point where you would listen to the music, if you'd never heard them before, and then you'd watch the video and you go, oh, that works. Now just think of the Strange 2, the artwork of the Red Rose for Violator, along with the music videos for Violator. I think of Clean, the cleanest I've been. Anton was great and brilliant of taking things that looked very low budget and art house. And I always wondered, when I used to watch Depeche Mode's videos as a teenager, I'd always think, God, that looks really low budget. They've obviously got a lot of money. But Anton was very good at he knew what it needed. He could say, well, you don't need to spend millions. We can achieve the end result for a lot less. And the results were brilliant, as I say. If we think of something like that World in My Eyes, where they showed up, the four of them in the car, and they're watching it on the screen. Great. I'm thinking of the music video for Clean, the cleanest I've been. The whole video is just Martin kissing a girl, watching a film. It's we can go into a lot of detail in a separate video, but I think what I'm trying to point out is Anton Corbijn took Depeche Mode and gave them the look that fitted with their sound, and that is why they've been with him ever since. He also went on with Devotional to create the set design for the stage, and I believe he has done that ever since. Now, please understand, it was very important that I explain to you my feelings, the way I understand the origins of the Anton Corbijn and Depeche Mode working relationship, before we sort of jump into analyzing this movie. And I should also tell you is, guys, I am the biggest Depeche Mode fan. If you've been on my channel for a while, and if you're new to the channel, you can just check the videos and you can see I'm a huge fan. However, despite the fact that I'm a huge fan, that does not mean I cannot be critical. In fact, it's because they've raised the bar so high, I will be critical. Think of this analogy. It's a little bit like going to a restaurant. Imagine you found a brilliant restaurant, and this restaurant does outstanding food. And you tell your friends, and you bring all your friends there. And then one day you started going there and the food was not quite as good. Well, of course you'd say something. So I'm not one of these deluded, diehard fans who go, oh no, you can't slag off Depeche Mode, no. No, they've raised the bar very high. They are the reason I got into music, and they are the reason my life is the way it is. Simple as that. When the first time I heard Enjoy the Silence, my life had never been the same. They got me into music. I hold Depeche Mode accountable to a very high standard. And if some of you are going to get offended now, too bad. This is just my opinion. Understand one thing, guys. I do not like critics. A movie critic is usually a failed actor. You know, music journalists are usually failed musicians. I would rather you refer to me as a fan, a lover of this music, or an analyst. I'm analyzing this. When a footballer runs onto the field and you're watching him, he runs on with the best intention. He runs on, he's going to play his heart out. He's got his wife or his girlfriend, his mom, his dad, his children, whatever. He's going to try his best. So for you or me to sit on the stands and go, oh, you're crap, man, that sucks. That sucks. You do not criticize someone like that. So the analogy is when Dave Vaughn and Martin Fletch go onto stage, the band, they are up there to do their best. So if we want to be critical, try walking in their shoes. It's not easy. What I'm trying to point out here is, guys, that I'm a huge fan, but my criticisms come from a place of love and not from being an arsehole. So what did I think of this movie? I wasn't expecting much. I tried to go in with neutral expectations. Call me cynical, but you know, I think as you get older, don't expect much and you won't be disappointed. But of course, I did go in with a certain expectation because, you know, it's one of my favorite bands ever, and it's Anton Corbijn. And the problem is, I just keep thinking Devotional, which was arguably one of the best recorded concerts in history, as far as I'm concerned. Call me biased. Now, this movie starts off very subdued, very quiet. You're just into it. Now, there were two ways to start this. He could have started it with the little legs. That could have been a way. That would have been a good way to start it, just as the Spirit concert started you with that, and the feet came closer. It was like, and they could have started it like that with the sound of cheering and stuff. That could have been a good way to start it. However, Anton decided to start it. It just started. You were straight into it, and it was quiet. And I liked that because it kind of made you feel, oh, okay, it's just starting. It started with that girl going, when I was a young girl, blah, 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 blah. And it was very engaging. So I thought, okay, it's starting quiet. This is the calm before the storm. I like what you're doing here, Anton. It's just quiet. There's no music. And it's like, it's very intimate and you're focusing on this one individual. And it's that anticipation of knowing, oh my God, we're going to see the band soon. And but by the time we saw the band, he had built all this anticipation. And then all of a sudden, it just cut to like a wide angle of a live concert. And I was like, okay, if I can be very, very crude, okay, this video is not for children. But if you met this beautiful woman, or in the case of a woman, you meet this beautiful man, and you go out for dinner and you've set the stage, and, you know, you go through all these levels before you get to the bedroom, before you get to sex. We're not going to get too graphic here. But there are all these steps, the whining, the dining, the dancing, and then the undressing and blah, blah, blah. But if you cut out any of those steps, the sex won't be very good. So imagine this. You walk in and she's standing naked. Here we go. Let's go. Oh, you've just broken down all the anticipation. This is my same gripe when I go to live concerts these days, when there is no build-up. The band just come on and start singing. Well, I'm like, okay, you've given me the orgasm without the build-up, without the foreplay. Okay, no more innuendos, I promise. But we're all adults here, and I think without going into excruciating detail, you understand what I'm trying to say is there needs to be a build-up. So, coming back to this film, Anton starts it quiet. The girl goes, when I was a young girl, blah, 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 blah. And then it cuts to different fans. And that's fine. But the fact that it at some point just jumped straight into the concert, it's like, oh, okay. What I would have liked to have seen was, now please, I'm not giving Anton Corbijn advice here, because I'm just a YouTuber. Who the hell am I? But what I would have liked to have seen, and it's a bit difficult to explain because this is in my head, but I'll try my best. Imagine when you had the fan scenes, and it was like, when I was a fan, I got into Depeche Mode. I heard this music and blah, blah, blah. And then just imagine while the fans are talking, the camera quickly cuts to maybe a close-up of Dave's hand on a microphone. And then it cuts back to the fan. I found this band that changed my life, blah, blah, blah. And then the camera probably would cut back to, let's say, Martin putting his mascara on, like an extreme close-up. What I'm saying is, so there's this anticipation. So there's this quiet entry to the film. This intro is quiet. You're listening to the fan talking, but then as they're talking, the shots will cut to like extreme close-ups of like Martin putting his makeup on, or Dave putting his rings on, or sort of like clasping his hands around the microphone, and just as he looks up, it cuts away. So there's got to be this build-up. It's like the foreplay. This is my biggest gripe about this movie. There was no fucking foreplay. It was just straight in, oh, let's have sex. And it's like, I don't want to be crude, but there was no foreplay. It just came straight in. And that was the big disappointment to me, really. So that's disappointment number one. Now, if this movie had come out and I had not known that it was Anton Corbijn, and you said to me, Vaughn, watch this movie, and I'd watched it, I'd go, oh, it's a fan movie. Well done. But if you told me, Vaughn, this is an Anton Corbijn movie, I'd say, no, it's not. And you'd say, yes, it is. And I'd go, there is no fucking way this is an Anton Corbijn movie. The guy who did Devotional and... Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole list. This, stylistically and aesthetically and artistically, did not live up to Anton Corbijn's standards. And if anyone's offended by that, understand that my criticism is a compliment, because what I'm saying to Anton Corbijn is I rate him so highly. It's a little bit like, take my friend Brian Griffin, who's done the best Depeche Mode album covers ever. He's done A Broken Frame, for God's sake. Now imagine if he released something really lame. Well, of course I would say, Brian, it's not as good as that. So you guys understand what I'm trying to say is this movie did not live up to Anton Corbijn's standards, because he has set the bar so high. It just lacked that Anton weirdness, darkness, creativity. It lacked the brilliance of Anton. Now, I'm just going to sort of run through these ideas as they go through my head, guys. Remember the way we roll on these videos? We're just two friends in a room talking. The idea to include fans in this movie was something I was a bit like, oh God. My mind just kind of ran back to visions of 101. And I remember watching the 101 movie, and every time we got to the fans, I'd fast forward and, I just wanted to see the band. So I had visions of that happening. Of course, this is different because it's more serious, whereas 101 was more like, hey, Keo, Depeche Mode, let's get drunk. This was more sort of grown up, and of course the fans were a lot older on this, so more grown up. Now, did the fans bring something to the movie? I liked the fans, I'll be honest with you. I think they were all different. I think they were well picked. Now, I loved the guy with his children. I've seen those videos before on YouTube, so it was a pleasant surprise to actually see. I went, oh my God, they're using him as a fan, and what better person to use as a fan, because I just loved him and his children, and I just loved his enthusiasm. And he's such a kind person, and I want to interview him one day, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name. I was also surprised to see the fan Christian from Romania, because the interesting thing was, if you watch my Black Celebration series where I interviewed Brian Griffin and I were actually talking about Christian from Romania. Hello to you, Christian from Romania. I'm sure you're going to watch this. And Christian actually bought one of the original Brian Griffin Black Celebration prints. So when I was watching this, I looked and went, oh my God, I know that man. The world is a small place. Anyway, the fans were a good addition. Some people thought it was a bit too dreary and they were milking it. Some people thought it was a little bit too much. The woman who lost her memory and all she could remember was Depeche Mode. Personally, I think the fans, I like the fan addition to it. I think that the stylistic decisions that Anton took with this movie, as well as some of the live performances from Depeche Mode, were not up to par. And therefore, I feel that the fans were, it was a welcome addition. It wasn't as annoying as 101, but I can look back at 101 now and think, in retrospect, I probably enjoyed it more than this movie. So yes, no criticisms of the fans at all. I think they were very heartfelt, very enthusiastic. I loved Christian when the fan Christian from Romania, when he talked about going up the mountain and in to pay homage, to enjoy the silence. I thought that was hilarious. I laughed very loud. There were two things I laughed at the loudest in the movie. Were that Christian guy. He was hilarious. I think he was great. Such a passionate fan. I just loved his enthusiasm that he would actually drag members of his family up a mountain and put them at risk to pay homage to enjoy the silence. And the second thing I laughed loudest at, of course, was every time I saw Fletch and he actually clapped. There were times you saw Fletch clapping, and I remember I went, ah, Fletch! Every time I saw Fletch, I went, ah, Fletch! I clapped, and the people around me were getting annoyed. Understandably. So I have no criticisms with the fans at all. My biggest criticisms, really, with this are, Anton Corbijn, I'm a huge fan. This did not live up to your standard. So take that as a compliment. I'm not being an arsehole. Now let's get on to the performance of Depeche Mode. This is where some of you are going to hate me. Once again, I'm not saying this to be a dick. This is because what I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm saying what I'm saying because, remember, Depeche Mode, reason I got into music, reason a lot of you got into music, the soundtrack to my teenage years. I hold them to a high standard. Remember, you go to a Michelin star restaurant you've been going to for years, all of a sudden they not serving as good a food. Of course you're going to criticize them. And that's not because you're being an arsehole. That's just because you feel it's not as good as it was. Now, in saying that, let me give a few practical examples. Now, as you guys know, I'm in the middle of my album review series, halfway through Black Celebration, as I said. And I don't want to provide any spoilers as to what the next album review series are going to be like. But I think enough of you, and a lot of you know, that I was not a big fan of the last 3 albums. And I particularly found Spirit to be very, very disappointing. And I would probably say my least favorite Depeche Mode album of all times. Now, that's going to piss some of you off. I don't really care. That's just how I feel. Now, let me tell you why. And I'm going to be doing a separate video soon where the video is going to be called Where's the Melody? Depeche Mode, What Happened to the Melody? And in that video, I'm going to explain musically why I feel the last 3 albums do not live up to the standards of the earlier stuff. And in saying that, some of you will go, oh, Vaughn, yeah, you're just getting old, yeah, they're current. No. The saving grace I have on this channel is the fact that I have a lot of teenagers who subscribe to my channel, and there are a lot of teenagers in my Facebook group. And the interesting thing is, I'm very aware of the fact that as we get older, we tend to favor the music from our childhood. However, as I say, my saving grace is the fact that the teenagers and the younger people, let's say the people below the age of 20 and younger, they are the ones who are saying, Vaughn, you're right, the older music was better. So I don't believe I'm deluded. I just feel that the music is not as good. And I'm going to explain in that video coming soon, musically, why I feel the songs are just not as good. I mean, let's take songs like, Where's the revolution? Come on, people, you're letting me down. And to that, I'm kind of like, Where's the melody? Come on, Martin, you're letting me down. There is no melody in Spirit. The album lacks melody, and I can get very critical about it. And as I say, I'm not going to get into it deeply because I will cover it in my album review series. But let's take Where's the Revolution. I feel that that song fails to convey the message it's trying to convey. I really feel that for that song to be sung effectively, it needs a lead vocalist like Chester Bennington, you know, God rest his soul, from Linkin Park. Now, that's no disrespect to Dave. Remember, we're all different. We're all different types of singers. I just feel that if I were to produce that song, and please, I don't mean to sound like a dick now, this is just my opinion. It needed that Chester Bennington type aggression in the vocals, which Depeche Mode don't have. They are not those type. They, as Dave and Martin, are not that type of singer. So you can imagine Chester Bennington from Linkin Park was a phenomenal singer. Imagine him doing that. Where's the revolution? You know, where are people? You let me down. It needed that aggression. And the way Depeche Mode do it, it doesn't have the aggression. It does not have the aggression it needs to serve the purpose of the song. So when it goes to, who's making your decisions? You and your religion. By the time he gets to the chorus, then he drops the octave, goes, where's the revolution? Whereas he should go, where's the revolution? But you've got Martin going, where's the revolution? Now the problem with that is, Martin does not have the aggression in his voice to go, where's the revolution? It needs that Chester Bennington type aggression. They should never have released this song. It does them no justice. And also the fact that for the live performance, it is transposed a semitone lower. Obviously, bands do that when they go live. They put their songs in a lower key to make it easier to sing. So you combine that song that even on the album is lackluster and has no energy, and you take it live, you transpose it lower, it just falls flat. I'm sorry. And I was at the Olympic Park gig here, and that song, even in a live sense, did not have the energy that I believed they thought it would have, or they believed it would have. I was at the Olympic Park gig here. I think the gig was great. I did notice, however, a slump in the set when they started doing a lot of their new stuff. And by the time they did things like Everything Counts and the older stuff, it picked people up. And even my fiance, who came with me to the screening of this video, of this movie, she's not a Depeche Mode fan, but she pointed out the songs which she thought were better. And she'd be like, oh, I like this one. And that was Everything Counts. I went, oh, that's an old song. And every time she whispered in my ear, oh, I like that song, I'd be like, oh, that's one of the older songs. And she's not a fan. So just want to point that out. Another example is, we're going backwards. It's not bad, but it's not walking in my shoes. Yeah, okay, Vaughn, get over it. You're stuck in the past. Get over it. Another gripe some people have got is, and it's a little bit of a gripe I've got as well, is the fact that Alan Wilder is not mentioned once in this movie.
Warning. Warning. Alan Wilder, fanboy alert. Warning. Warning.
Okay, I'm not saying Alan should come back. We know he's not. But let's just acknowledge the fact that Alan Wilder had a phenomenal input on the sound, and we've got... I don't need to say anymore. But I think that they should have still acknowledged Alan at some point. Maybe there's this... and I'm not saying I'm right, but I sometimes get the feeling there's this, in documentaries and stuff, there's this idea of, oh, don't mention Alan. Yeah, that's in the past, don't mention it. Yeah, because if we mention it, we're gonna open a can of worms. Well, I'm here to open that can of worms. I really just feel there should have at least been a mention or a nod to Alan Wilder, because I don't need to say any more. I'm sure you'll all agree with me there. Getting back on topic and another few practical examples. The song, A Pain That I'm Used To. Do-do-do-do, 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 do-do-do-do. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Do-do-do-do. I love that song. But I don't like this live version that they've latched onto. Now, the actual remix, I forget who remixed it. If you listen to the actual remix, which does the do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, it's very good. But it doesn't translate very well live. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, Peter Gaudino's going to come down with his bass guitar and he's going to play this song. It's like, yeah, and he looks really awkward when he does it. No disrespect, Peter. But he plays that bass guitar and it's almost like he's learned to play one song on the bass guitar and now he's going to play it. And bless Peter Gaudino, he just looks really awkward when he holds a guitar. He doesn't look like, he looks very natural and in his element when he's playing pianos and keyboards. And he's a brilliant musician. Peter is a great musician. I just don't think he's possibly the right musician to be a session muso in Depeche Mode. But I've got nothing against him. I just think when he gets up and he holds that bass guitar, he looks more to me like a stage tech. Before a band comes on, you get those people going around making sure everything's working, stage tech, and then, yeah, piano's working, yeah, keyboard's working, yeah, microphone's working, yeah, bass guitar's working, snare's working. He looks like a stage tech. The way he holds the bass, he just looks awkward. A pain that I'm used to. I love the song. I like the album version. I love the original where they do it. It's this do-do-do-do. I'm not sure what I'm looking to do. All this running around. It's too... No, come on, guys. Just you can do a better version than that. Revert back to the old version. God, I sound really negative now. There is positivity to this. And there is good intention behind this review. I'm not being an arsehole. Remember, I love this band. So it has to reach the standards that I expect from it. Yes, so there are a few poor decisions in my opinion. The drum sound. Right. Now, when I went to the Olympic Park and I watched the live Spirit show, it was great. And it just seems as though the drum sound, and you guys, please check my videos below. You know what I feel about the drum sound. I am not against Depeche Mode having a drummer. They proved they could do it well when Alan was there.
Warning. Warning. Alan Wilder, fanboy alert. Warning.
They proved it could be done when Alan was there. And Alan Wilder wasn't even a drummer. I mean, he'd only been playing the drums for a couple of years by the time and then went on to tour. So he was very, I suppose, he didn't look as loose and nutty as what most drummers did. Alan looked more sort of like controlled and, anyway, it sounded better. And what I've said in my previous videos is if you want to hear an example of bands that do it properly, look, electronic music can work with a live drumming. And I understand why electronic bands use live drums is because it's the visual element and it's impressive. I'll give you some examples. Check out Gary Newman. Richard Beasley as his drummer. It's fantastic. He hits the drums very hard. He's very direct, but he's not... It's like a kid in a sweet shop and he wants to take all the sweets. Christian, please. What they need to do is, have you seen the size of his kit? It's massive. They need to take the toms away. Just give him 2 toms. Because he's like a kid in a sweet shop. He's like an epileptic octopus. He's insane. It's, for fuck's sakes, mate, stop it. You're killing my you're pissing over my childhood, my legends. Oh my God. Was that a rant? Yes. Now, once again, diplomatically speaking, Christian is a very good drummer. I just don't think he's the right drummer. I think he's like a stadium rock drummer. And coming back to the practical examples, listen to Richard Beasley in Gary Newman's setup. He's very direct, it's very straightforward, it's very understated, and he only hits a tom when he needs to. He gives it the power. Christian, to me, is so trying to put energy into it or whatever, and Dave's guilty because Dave's standing there going, come on, Christian, let's do it, come on! He's doing his Mick Jagger moves and his Elvis moves. Okay, I'm really getting fired up here now, guys. Now, I love Dave, and I love his energy. And Christian, once again, I don't want to be that idiot standing at the sidelines going, oh, you're doing it crap, man. No, I'm just a YouTuber. But I love the band. I want them to be, I just want to love it again. And so when you are getting epileptic on the drum kit and you're hitting every tom just because it's there, now I understand that as a musician, you want to express yourself. So, I can even forgive Dave Vaughn, the fact that he's turning into a hybrid between Mick Jagger and Elvis Presley. I can forgive that. He's still a great frontman. And I was looking at some of the early footage back in 1996, 97, when Depeche Mode did the launch party for the Ultra album. And Christian was great when they were doing like Barrel of a Gun. In fact, watch the whole tour. I'll try and find the link and put it below. He was great because it was clear to me that he was kind of respecting the click track, and he was just respecting the songs. These days, it's like he's like a drummer for AC/DC or some kind of 80s rock band. It's like stadium rock. Yeah, man, Christian, hit those drums. Fuck off. This is Depeche Mode. This is not a stadium rock band, for fuck's sakes. Oh, Vaughn George in his most off-the-wall review to date. I've had nothing to drink. And you know, I'm not edited and scripted. This is just, this is how I feel. There's something strange about this scenes, the live scenes as well. And I believe, rumor has it, and I haven't looked into this, that a lot of the live footage was not filmed by Anton himself. A lot of it was fan footage that was put together. I don't know how true that is, but that does make sense because, as I said, the way this looks, it's not up to Anton Corbijn's standard. You know, Anton, and if Anton sees this, Anton, I'm not being a dick. I think you're outstanding. You are iconic. This is just not worthy of your standard. It really isn't. So anyway, back to those drums. Classic example. We get to enjoy the silence. Now, enjoy the silence. The way it's been played live for the past 20 years is pretty much the same. And it's always the chords. Dun, dun, dun. There's do, 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 do. Bam, 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 bam. Nothing wrong there. And then he starts. And then Dave goes, Martin! Bum, bam, 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 bam. Nothing wrong there. Words like violence break the silence. Great, Dave growls it a lot more. Whereas he used to go, words like violence break the silence. He used to do it in a round tone. Now he's like, words like violence. That's fine. His voice has changed. He's a different type of performer. No disrespect to Dave. He's expressing himself. That's fine. So they get to the all I ever wanted, all I ever needed, first chorus. They can only do harm. Then there's that iconic break. Everyone stand back. The drummers yell. No, stop killing it. You're killing the groove. You're killing the groove. Play, respect the song. And I always find this. I learned this from a mentor of mine. He said, the song is the God. You as the musician are serving the song. A problem, this is where bands fall out, is when egos come. It's like, yeah, I'm better than you and I'm going to outplay you. This is where things fall apart. So where it works is when you've got a mature approach to the music where you know, okay, I can play this part in 64th triplets and blah, 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 whatever. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play it simply because I only need to get the idea across because it's about the end result. Guys, when it comes to music, it's about getting the emotion across without being a dick. And what I mean by that is, this is why I hate stadium rock when they, yeah, drum solo, right, on guitar. It's like, stop it. No, I don't want to hear that. And let's just jump to let's take a band like Coldplay, for instance. The lead guitarist of Coldplay, he's a phenomenal guitarist. And the way he plays is not a true representation of how well he can play. Because he can do, believe me, he can do all that Eddie Van Halen shit and all that crap. However, he understands that it is not what the song needs. And this is where, okay, Coldplay, I'm not a fan of Coldplay, but I do recognize them as a great band. And they do what they do very well. So coming back to Depeche Mode, Christian needs to understand, someone needs to tell him that the way he is drumming is not what's needed. It's not only the fact that he's over drumming, but it is also the fact that the drum sound, I've been on about this, it sounds like there's a blanket over it. It sounds over compressed. Please, if you're a drummer, explain to me what is with that drum sound. As I say, when you see them live, it sounds okay. You know, it has the impact, but it's when you hear it back on a recorded medium, like on YouTube or even in a professionally recorded situation, it doesn't seem to, it just sounds like the drum kit to me sounds disconnected from the performance. It's like you've got the music and the drums sound like they're on top of it and not under it where they should be. It's really frustrating because it's really, really frustrating because if I can give some advice, and who the hell am I to give advice? Let me give you my opinion. I really feel that the problem is, I don't want to say the problem. There is no problem with Depeche Mode. The criticism is the fact that, look, Dave has still got loads of energy. He looks great. He's a fantastic frontman. You know, Martin is still Martin. He's never been a sort of animated performer, so no change there. Fletch just looks like death warmed up sometimes, but we love Fletch, and he looks very grumpy, but that's fine. You know, and the fact that Dave performs like a hybrid between Elvis and Mick Jagger these days, that's fine too. Look, he's expressing himself, and you know, who the hell are we to be dicks and say, oh, Dave, stop doing that. He's expressing himself, that's fine. I just find he reminds me a bit of Hillary Clinton on the presidential campaign, when she'd come out, ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton, and she'd come out, back point to the crowd like that. And I'm like, yeah, Dave Vaughn getting all Hillary Clinton there. No politics. But yeah, I mean, you know, Dave is getting, some people are getting annoyed by his kind of, well, that's fine. That doesn't offend me. But what does annoy me is the fact that the drums, guys, you can have your live drums, but just tone down on it. And the sound needs addressing. The drum sound is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it's wrong. Now, on to poor sound selection. Let's get back to Enjoy the Silence. He's done the break. Then it gets to the, they can only do harm. And it gets to that break. And you go, oh God, here it comes. Watch Devotional when it gets to the end of the second chorus. They can only do harm. Then it goes into the break. That's how it's done. These days you go, oh God, here comes that break. And then comes in the the way they do it now, they're not using the right sound. They seem to be using some kind of general MIDI home keyboard sound. Attention to detail, guys. I'm not saying you should use the same sounds from the 80s. God, you're using viruses and some of the latest in music technology. Surely you could come up with some better sounds than the shit that you're playing at the moment. To illustrate perfectly what I'm saying is, guys, you only need to watch tribute acts like Forced to Mode and Strange Love to see the attention to detail they give to the sound. And it's a pretty sad moment when you have to say to yourself as a fan, the tribute acts are beating the act. As far as I'm concerned, Forced to Mode and Strange Love, as far as ticking the boxes and paying homage and being honest to the songs, are doing a better job than Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode are starting to sound like the tribute act. Coming back to Enjoy the Silence, once they come out of the mad, it just goes insane. I'm like, oh my God. Guys, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I am loving this. I'm loving this. I needed to get this off my chest. I just want to be honest about it. Even if some of you hate me for it, but just respect that I love the band. I'm not being an arsehole. I would not be this worked up about it if I didn't love the band. If I didn't love the band, I would not give a shit. That is why this review is so animated. But anyway, so we come to the end of Enjoy the Silence. It's got the and yeah, played on a very bad home keyboard general MIDI sound anyway. And then here's the part. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Martin Helge! And whenever Dave does that, you can see Martin. You can see the cringe in Martin. I think he's going, Dave, just stop doing that. Dave, stop doing that. So I was saying this to a group of friends the other day, and we're talking about this, and I said, if we take Depeche Mode back to the good old days, the good old classic mode when Alan was in there.
Warning! Warning! Alan Wilder, fanboy alert! Warning! Warning!
The classic mode days. You look at the way, the state, it had this industrial, somewhat claustrophobic type of sound, and like, is there something to do? Is there something? And it had this metallic, and there were these great melodies, and it was great. And it just had this kind of moodiness and broodiness to it, and it was so dark and sexy, and But now you look at us like, it's almost like, ladies and gentlemen, one night only in Las Vegas, it's Depeche Mode. And it's become so razzmatazz and cabaret, and with starring Mr. on keyboards, Peter Gordino, the noodler, also the epileptic drummer. I will play every drum even though it's not necessary to. Just because they're all there, I will hit them all at the same time. Fantastic. On keyboards, Mr. Fletcher, who is not as animated as he used to be. Mr. Martin Elgore. I love you, Martin. There's no criticism of you. And with his red coat and his red shoes and his ringmaster mustache, it's Mr. Dave Gunn. Ladies and gentlemen, Depeche Mode. Thank you, Mr. Martin Elgore. It's not cabaret, guys. I suppose anyone who's just come to my channel has never seen this before will probably think I'm insane. But despite the fact that you think I'm insane, I don't think you can downplay the fact that I'm a huge fan. And I'm very, very passionate about this. And I just want them to get it right. I just feel you can keep Christian. He just needs to be told not to play every single drum. Just because you've got 100 toms there does not mean you need to hit them all. Watch Devotional again. Watch Alan Wilder.
Warning. Warning. Alan Wilder, fanboy alert. Warning.
Notice Devotional. Alan Wilder had a modest little Yamaha kit. And it sounded fantastic. Look at Christian's kit. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like the fucking Starship Enterprise. It's massive. He sits there like this. You can't even, you just see, it's massive, but it sounds shit. I'm sorry. It doesn't have the impact. It is not the right kit for the band. It's not. I for whatever it does, and you know, I get this from fellow producers and fans who agree with me. And there are even people, you know, and a lot of fans who are not musicians always say it just doesn't sound right. Guys, sort it out, man. You know, the Depeche Mode is not it's not a low budget operation, and this is why I'm so critical on them. It's not the fact that they are the soundtrack to my youth and the reason I got into music, but they are also, you know, they have access to the best producers and technology and everything. And it's, come on, guys, you can sort your drum sound out. And who is choosing the keyboard sounds? Who is making these decisions? Who's making your decisions? You or your... So there you have it, my friends. For the record, I love Depeche Mode. I suppose if you take any of these scenes out of context, people are going to think I'm a nutter and I hate them, but I don't. As I say, I get really worked up because I'm really passionate about it. And I get annoyed when I can see... And once again, guys, these are just my opinions. But so many of my subscribers and so many fans I've talked to have said the same thing as me. We all seem to be, you know, agreeing on certain things, like the keyboard sounds are crap. They drowned out. You can't hear the keyboard sounds anymore. Depeche Mode was a keyboard act, for God's sakes. Now they're a stadium rock act. What the hell? You can have your live drummer, but you're not a stadium rock act. Oh. Should Depeche Mode stop? No. But of course not. Look, Dave Gaughan's still got the energy, and, you know, they've got a lot going for them still. They're just... I mean, even rubbish songs, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, rubbish songs like Where's the Revolution? And I don't... You know, people mock songs like It's Called a Heart and stuff. I mean, that song had vibe and funk and soul. Where's the Revolution? I mean, it was just sort of like trying to cash in on the political climate. Yeah, it just, come on, Martin, you're letting me down, mate. Jesus, I rate you so highly, man. Jeez, God. I rate the band. I love the band. Okay. Longest review ever. The movie was, as I said, I went in, I tried not to have any expectations. But I sat there and I was pleasantly sort of entertained. But it was underwhelming, it was disappointing, and it did not live up to the standards of Depeche Mode and Untitled Chapter. And guys, if you think I'm being brutal, all you need to do is go back and watch Devotional and ask yourself, does this measure up to Devotional? And if you think I'm stuck in the past, I'm not saying they need to repeat the Devotional sound, but Devotional had a standard, not only a sound. Devotional can be held up as the opus magnum, the pinnacle, and the standard by which electronic industrial music, whatever you want to call it, is held. That is the standard. That is as good as it gets. And I just think Depeche Mode are going, not so much with the albums, but they're just going too much down a stadium rock route. It's just not right. Personal opinions, guys. So what did I think of the film? Now, as you know, in my album reviews, I review albums out of 10. But when it comes to, music videos and films, I usually gave them a rating out of 5. I'm going to give Depeche Mode Spirits in the Forest 2 stars. As I say, not bad, disappointing, underwhelming. And having a chance to watch this and, just the way it cut to live shots, and you can kind of see Depeche Mode have still got it, guys. They've still got the energy. It's all there. It's just more to me. The criticism is more on the live sound, and Depeche Mode were always very well known for their live, being better live than in the studio. And these days it's just not the same. When you're at the concert and watching it, you're in the vibe and in the moment. And I suppose that's what live music is meant to be. But when you watch it back recorded, it just doesn't have the impact of, sort of like their previous golden years, so to speak. Right, guys, so I really got that off my chest, and it comes from a place of love. I love this band, I really do, and I love what Anton Corbijn did with them, and I rate them so highly, and it's just disappointing to see when they do not get to the level. As I say, artistically and stylistically, you just need to look at great music videos like, like Condemnation and, I Feel You and Walking in My Shoes and all those videos. This does not have Anton Corbijn's style and signature on it. It looks to me like it was filmed by random amateur photographers or filmmakers and just thrown together. Very disappointing. But I'd recommend every Depeche Mode fan watch it and make up their own mind. Don't take my opinion as the gospel truth. I'm going to be doing another video on this, guys. It's going to be a first time sort of like group discussion video. It'll be myself and 3 members from the Vaughn George Facebook group, and we're going to sort of sit and do like a group discussion on this, like a sort of like a reality TV type thing. Right, guys, so if you're watching this video at this current time, which is the end of November 2019, be sure to tune in to the live Q&A on December the 1st, which is Sunday, December the 1st. I'm doing a live Q&A with legendary photographer Brian Griffin. Brian's going to be here, and we're going to be doing this live Q&A and answering all your questions. You can ask us anything you want. Also, get in on that live Q&A because we're going to be giving away 2 full sets of Brian Griffin's iconic Depeche Mode album cover poster prints, which we're doing on the channel. So we're giving away 2 full sets, and we're giving away 2 mini sets as well. So a full set is a collection of 7 images, which we do on the Vaughn George channel here, and the mini set is a collection of 3 images of your choice. So please be on that call, on that live Q&A YouTube video, because we're going to be giving away 2 full sets and 2 mini sets as well. Guys, if this is your first time to my channel, you're probably going to think I'm a nutter, but go back and watch some of the previous videos. You will see my heart is in the right place. Guys, I'm so grateful for your support to my regular subscribers. As I say, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button, click like, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of the Spirits of the Forest movie. I wasn't crazy about it, but I still loved watching it, and I love doing this review. Guys, as always, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video. Remember the Q&A on Sunday. I'll see you then.